Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Top Billers Toolkit, where me and my twin brother interview top billers from all around the globe to unlock the secrets to their success. Today's guest is David Bradley. David has consistently billed 700 to 1.1 million every year for 30 years. Not only that, but he's scaled a recruitment business to 55 people, doing 16 to 20 million annually without any outside investment at all. In today's episode, David's going to be explaining his 10-5-2 formula when it comes to BD. He's going to be explaining to us some of his cold calling techniques that he uses to reach out to prospects and win new business. And finally, David's going to be talking to us about his mindset, the insane consistency that's required to bill his numbers for 30 years straight while running a very successful business. Guys, David's energy is infectious. He is a lovely human being and absolutely dedicated to the craft of recruitment and sales. We hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did. As usual, grab a cuppa or a glass of wine, depending on when you're listening to this, and let's get into it, shall we? Wait a second, guys. Quick question for you. If you could land a new client on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks, how much would that be worth to you? 20, 30, maybe 40K? Well, we have a pretty crazy offer on right now. If you are a recruitment business owner, then we will work with you for free and write you 2 posts at absolutely no cost. And here's the cool part. Other recruiters that have come through this free trial have managed to win new clients. They've racked up hundreds of thousands of impressions and started conversations with top tier candidates. It's completely risk-free, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you're interested, the link's in the description below. If not, no worries. We hope you enjoy the podcast. See you later. David, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend. How are you?
Very good. Very good, guys. It's just a pleasure to join you guys after many years of listening to your podcast. It's been great to finally be a guest.
Amazing, man. And I'm particularly excited about this episode, David, and very impressed the fact that you've built a pretty big business, roughly 55 recruiters, doing a lot of annual revenue, and you are still billing yourself, which I think is pretty insane, and doing some very good numbers at that. So really excited to get into that. But before we jump into that, I'm going to ask you the same question as we do every guest, which is, what's the number one tool in your toolkit, whether it be a mindset, strategy, or software?
Well, Ben, that's an easy one. It's absolutely mindset. I think without the mindset, it's the foundation, right? It's really planting the time and the focus and into the business and giving it your all every day. That's absolutely by far and away the biggest tool in my toolkit for sure. Absolutely.
And I'm always fascinated in this question, David. How did you cultivate your mindset? Because recruitment is a tough job, and you've been doing it for many years very successfully. And I'm just wondering, has it been a constant battle mindset? Are you naturally just a positive, hardworking person that doesn't need to work on mindset? I'm just curious how you would answer that.
It's sort of in my DNA, Sam. I grew up, a mom that was a workhorse. She worked from dusk to dawn every day. I mean, it's every single day, and that was I learned the hard work and what that meant. And I had coming out of high school, I had a lawn care business, landscaping business. I built that. I learned how to work, sweat and build something with my hands. And that it was, taking all those work habits, I think just naturally, translated into recruiting and the hard work that's required. So it just
Interesting.
absolutely, it's in the DNA, I think. But there's struggles, there's ups and downs, right? There's good days and bad days. But I think the focusing on the task and the focus has really been the key to look at the bigger picture and for sure.
So it sounds like you were just exposed to work ethic from a very young age, David, and that has been instilled in you. And now working hard and continuing is just there's not even a question that arises in your brain. You just continue and you work hard. Am I right in saying that?
I just take pride. I mean, I take pride in what I'm doing, and I look at the business and I'm like, I've got how many hours a week to do this business, and you can decide to be excellent and have the fruits of your labor be double, triple, quadruple what the next person. So it's about your time and energy and your focus. So if I'm going to do this for 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, I'm going to make it count, and I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to be very focused. So when I leave the doors of work, I can go and enjoy it too. So it's yes, for sure. The focus aspect of it, and knowing we've all got the same amount of time each day. Right? 86,400 seconds a day.
I love that you know that, David. That's awesome. And I think that brings us nicely on to the next question. It's kind of written down, but it's kind of, I've put 2 questions together here. You You have a roughly 55 recruiters doing between 60 and 20 million in annual revenue, which is amazing, David. And you're still billing to this day, which I find amazing. And you're billing between 700K up to 1.1 million. And I'm just like, how does David do that? I'm like, how the hell does David do that and manage a business? Must be pretty insane. So you probably treat your hours, your 50 to 60 hours slightly differently to the average person, David. What are
Well, good
those?
question. The way with the division of labor within our partnership, there's three of us, and
Mm,
Doug, our managing partner, his role is to manage the business, manage the operate. He's an operations guru.
got
He's
it.
got a very good. That's his strength and ability to do that. Chris has got the he works a desk. By the way, everyone's working a desk except for two of our our employees.
Mm,
And he's got a blend of managing people and overseeing and mentoring, and then billing. But he doesn't have as
mm.
big a billing objective. And then for me, it's be the workhorse. I mean, we're all three of us are bringing new heads into the firm, new people that we believe are going to do this for the rest of their life. That's our belief that everyone we hire. And so that's why I think focus so much
Got
is
it.
I know that the other things are taken care of.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so, what are the things that you're mainly investing your time in? So, let's go into an average week of you for you then, David. What are the main things you're focusing on a weekly basis? If you were to whittle it down to like two to three main things.
Yeah, I'm a sort of nuts and bolts guy. I mean, I call it old school. I mean, the phone is the is still the tool of choice, and I'm one of these guys that has to have a list every day, a very focused list of what I need to do. So
Mm,
it's a planned call list of at least 50 calls that I know it's like it's going to happen the minute I get in. So there's a cadence to starting the day strong and having a good plan that night before. I'm a big believer in marketing and a lot of organic marketing and we do Zoom info blasts and engage, all kinds of tools we use to identify new clients. But a lot of my successes come from just the add-on questions and asking those questions. So that's part of it's almost like if you have the 50 calls planned, everything else kind of flows from there.
mm,
So that's been a big plus.
interesting. So you
So
have this list of 50 people ready at your desk, to call every morning. Am I right in saying that, David?
That's correct. Yep, those are based on searches we're searches already have in the door that we have to work on, or they could be new candidates I need to reach out to for other people's searches. Or it could be some of those are marketing calls too, where
Mm,
I'm marketing outbound. I've got three or four clients I'm trying to target with a
mm.
candidate or my NPC candidate. So
Awesome.
it's sort of a blend of all three, but it's having that plan every morning,
Mm,
having those 50 calls planned. And then if I have that planned, then the crazy distractions you have in this business that take you a million different directions are gonna it's all it's that's gonna happen by osmosis, all those extra calls, but it's gonna
mm.
be having the plan is key for sure.
Interesting. And do you do that plan the night before, or do you do that a week ahead? Like, when do you actually do that planning, David?
Yeah, I'm a 7 day guy. I like to on the weekend kind of go through and
Mm,
look at the bigger picture of what I'm working on the next week, what clients I want to target. So I've
mm,
got a master sort of idea of what I want to do, but then on a daily basis, I'm having those 50 planned. I may not have everything written down, but I know where to access those 50 names. So I've got and I'm a writer. I like to have things. I like to have a pad in front of me, kind of old school, and I'll translate stuff into our CRM and stuff like that. But it's a lot of just old school, grind it out having the
mm,
calls, having those connections.
love that.
So,
And
but it's done the night. That's done the night before. The daily is done the night before, as best I can. It's not a
mm,
perfect world, so some days it stretches into the morning. But yeah,
yeah, cool. Love that. So sounds like you're doing 50 calls every day, David, pretty consistently.
try to.
Yeah.
I mean,
One thing, sorry, David, I just wanted to ask this. The one, because I was fascinated by the lists. And if there's anything me and Ben have learned about BD, is that the lists are basically the fundamentals to good BD. If you have a good list, you can make BD like 50 times easier. If you have a bad list, you're basically chasing your
yeah,
tail. So I'm curious, what, if you were to prepare a list and sit down and call, who would be the first people that you would be like, yes, I know if I contact these people, the chances that I'm going to get a call booked is pretty high. Are there any key things you look out for in terms of
yeah.
building good
I
lists?
would say two-thirds of that list are recruiting calls. So there will be I'm working on a search, and we tend to be engineering manufacturing focused. Although we're in a lot of verticals with a team of 55. We've got a slew of different verticals we're working in, but they tend to be technical engineering, manufacturing, sales. So those are recruitment calls. A lot of those are recruitment calls. And then I look at every recruitment call as an opportunity for BD. So I mean, I'm
Mm,
asking out-on questions to every candidate I talk to. Where do they, if they're an active candidate looking for, to make a move, I'm asking them a ton of good questions, like where else have they interviewed? I'm
mm,
asking them, like, diving into, tell me about your company. Why are you looking to leave? I'm asking them who else in their company is also looking. I mean, it's 2, 3 questions deep once you build that rapport, and then so from that spews another follow-up questions, and those are calls I'll make in the future. But just not to get too deviate, but that's sort of the foundation of
mm,
the calls. But then there's BD calls too, where I've got from LinkedIn. I'm working with various CEOs or to various HR directors, and I know that there's companies I want to target where I know I've got a candidate I can market in. Um,
Love that.
awesome. That's really
If
cool.
if I was a almost brand new recruiter listening to this, David, and I was like, wow, David's managing to turn recruitment calls into possible BD calls. Can you just run through what the most important things are? You mentioned some questions there, like what are you looking for in order to get to the point where you're like, oh yes, this is a good lead? Like what are the kind of signals that you're looking for? Let's assume you're jumping into a recruitment call and you're asking these questions.
Yeah, I look for someone that's receptive, where there's just a good rapport being built. I feel like the stronger the rapport, the more I'm going to be able to just go into the
Yeah.
headwind. And
Mm,
sometimes it's a two-call thing. It's not going to all happen on one call if this person's at work and they're busy and they can't talk, that kind of thing. But
mm,
it's really sensing the rapport, sensing that person's open to talking, and then I frame it around the person, right? This is not about me, it's about them. So how can I, as an example, where else are you interviewing is more a function of, hey, where do I need to stay away from? If companies
yeah,
you
yeah.
like I've got this company that I think would be this role I'm working on that I'm representing that could be a great fit for you. But let's not just stop there. Let's look at the bigger picture. So
Mm,
I'll dive into that with them. And ultimately, they're going to take one job, and then let's say in the next 30 days, 60 days, they're taking a job. Well, there's 6 other companies they told me they interviewed at. So
yeah.
those are just really
Interesting.
warm leads. I won't chase those until the dust settles and that person's accepted a role. But so it's really, I think the rapport is the big thing.
Mm,
And I think people genuinely want to help you if you approach it the right way. But it's got to be it's got to be what's in it for them.
mm,
So
love that.
um,
That's really, really interesting. And it's like, yeah, as you said, like you can get 5 to 6 new leads just finding out where else they're interviewing, which is really interesting. And then I'm guessing you take a note of that and put that on your BD list for a later date. All right,
yeah,
so
for
no,
sure,
David.
for sure.
Have you, sorry, David, me and Ben have this tendency to pepper guests with questions like one after the other.
Once we're in, we're like,
Yeah,
oh
without
yes, let's go
even
down
without
this
even
way.
breathing. So
Yeah.
thank you for dealing with us. I was going to say, David, out of all the questions you ask candidates in order to get leads, is there one that keeps on giving more leads than others? Like, where you interviewing, or is there one particular question that tends to get you the best results out of interest?
I think where they're interviewing, because that gives me
Mm,
a good snapshot of the marketplace and what's happening. And then I'll ask them, hey, was it through a recruiter or on your own? It's a natural next question. So I want to
mm,
know that. And that tells me, hey, is this company using recruiters right now? So
interesting.
that's probably the best one. But and if all else fails, I'll just ask them, tell me, my favorite question of all time is how's business? It's just how's
Mm,
business, and
mm,
people generally want it. The how they answer that question is another, back to you, Ben. What's that one question that gives you the most leverage? Is probably maybe that's the one. How's business? Because it's open ended. They can talk. They'll start sharing with me more about their company and what's going on in those 4 walls, and
Mm,
who else is looking. How many vacancies are going to be there in the next 3 months because of all these candidates that are folks that are looking. So it's
mm,
um it's a very organic, and it's a fun way to do the business, I find, because you're having natural conversations, you're
mm.
building rapport, for sure.
I love that. So
Yeah.
funny how simple it sounds. It's like, how's business? And then they just end up going off on like some massive tangent and telling you everything. I can
yeah,
And
imagine
I'll
that happens
source, like,
sometimes.
we've got, about our 55 recruiter, we're working in a lot of different spaces, and I'll throw, just I'll ask for names. If they're in quality, let's say, and I've got a quality director job and I'm there a quality engineer, I'll ask them, hey, what, gosh, we're working on this quality. You wouldn't happen to know who's the quality director at your company? Because
Mm,
I know that could be a prospect for this job. I'm like,
mm,
hey, and they'll tell you a lot of times. You're not asking who you know, because when you ask who you know, that gets challenging because people get defensive. They don't want to give those names up. But when you just go right into the headwind, who is the quality director at who is that? And sometimes I'll go as far as, hey, wait, it's not so and so, is it? And even not knowing that name is not, but
Mm,
just kind of going into the headwind of you sound like you're in the know, and they're very kind to share that with you. So
Yeah,
interesting.
love that.
This is a question I just thought of, David. So forgive me, it's not on the list, but it is relevant, or at least closely related. I'm thinking now that you're in a unique position where you've got like 55 recruiters, or a lot of recruiters that you're observing. You can look at the data, you can see how active they are, you can see how many calls they're making, and let's assume that you only work with good recruiters. So we're going to put that out there, only good recruiters. But I'm sure that even in your business, you've got recruiters that are performing like at the top of their game, and people that are maybe the higher performers of the group. I'm really
yeah.
curious to know, what are they doing differently? Like the people that are constantly hitting the top of the leaderboard, what are those recruiters doing differently from the other recruiters in the business?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had to cover this in our meeting yesterday, our staff meeting. Every one of our top billers, for the most part, have clients. They have jobs to
Mm,
work,
mm,
and we use the analogy. It's like a real estate, right? If you have your post in the ground, and you're the person listing that house, you're going to win no matter what, right? People are coming in to buy the house. So kind of like recruiting. If you don't have job orders, you're at the mercy of working other people's job orders, which is great.
mm,
We need that support, and we want recruiters here that are headhunters that are 360, that are building their desk with clients, and then also having that recruiting arm. So
mm,
that's the big part of it, right? Having clients, and then this has always been and always will be an activity driven business. So
mm.
the ones with the most activity tend to do well. So I don't know how to
Interesting.
more nuts and bolts that.
No, that's a good starter, David. And so now what I'm thinking is, like, if we can go a little bit deeper, if you have the data in it anyway, these top billers, let's go into the activity. Are they doing like twice as many calls? Are they doing emails and calls? Like, I want to try and give the person listening to this the best insight into what a top biller is doing so they can possibly replicate it. So what are these top billers doing like tangibly that's different from the other people, if you see what I mean? So they're getting jobs, they're more activity. Are there any kind of more specific things you can go into?
I think they're bringing it every day. They're making the calls, and I find even within the group, there's ones that are very very good at account managing, and we've got a
Mm,
few that are finding their way to 500,000 to 700 to $800,000 as billers, and they're doing it from pure clients where the other people are filling their jobs. They're just very good at harnessing building internal
mm,
equity within our team to bring people
interesting.
onto their desk. And then there's some that are more, they've got that recruiting muscle. They're probably more on the heavier on that side where their heads on a swivel. They're helping, they're filling jobs all over the country in different aspects. And they might be filling one of our recruiters in Sarasota their job, and then they're filling one with our group in Grand Rapids, and then they're very focused on the recruiting side. But I would say in terms of if there's one thing, they tend to be they're high phone volume, high
Mm,
email volume, high cadence. They're bringing it every day. They're consistent. Mm.
mm, interesting. Um, Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just going to pivot slightly to the MPC approach, David, because if there's one strategy me and Ben have heard the most on this podcast from the top billers, people billing 1 million, 2 million, and 500K plus, it's the MPC method. And I'm just curious, when you are MPCing, so to speak, what is the best practices that you use in order to make sure that you're going to give you the best possible chances to get a win? Are there a few things that you like to tick off?
Yeah, I mean, the more I can know about, and I don't need to go into, a deep research project on the company, but the more I know, with all the AI tools we have out there, to be able to do a quick query about a company or about a role or about a culture, so you can sell or pitch directly to that company to what their pain points might be. But the more of that, and then it's really doing that homework, and then it's having the goods. I mean, when you have the right candidate, most companies are going to want to hear about it, hear about that candidate. Now, when you get into those large Fortune 500 companies, which tends not to be our focus, it's more the mid cap, mid small cap, I'd say, where
Hmm.
you can get to decision makers, and there's more receptivity to, hey, you've got a candidate, this is the job, yeah. So it's really I would say I don't know if I answered your question, Sam. Um,
Think you did, yeah. And I'm curious what would make so you said one of the main things is pitching the right candidate, which makes sense. If you've got a candidate's in demand, you put it in front of the right people, the chances of magic happening are probably quite high. What is the right candidate in your world, David? If you were to look at a candidate and be like, okay, this guy or this gal, if I pitch them, the chance of them getting a job is very high. What does that look like in your world, out of interest?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, they're motivated. I mean, they've got a specific. They're probably running away from something.
Mm,
That's something, right? They're and then also maybe running to something, but there's a strong motivation, and we can articulate the motivation. What is it that you're looking to do? So they're not hopefully not a counter offer risk or anything like that.
mm,
So they have highly motivated. They're reasonable on salary. They're not looking for a 25% increase. I mean, there's reason in there, and they're probably mid-career, where they've got a lot of runway left in their career, and
mm,
or they're very niche. There's a niche element to their background. They've got that product or process um, or a win or results that this new company wants. Whether if it's a salesperson, they've got proven track record of winning business in that space, or they're an engineer that's got that exact product and process. That they're niche that way. And they're
mm,
probably, if it's a relocation scenario, they're easy relos. They're not necessarily, have a large family and kids in busy years of life where it's going to be hard to unplug them. So,
mm.
but
Love that,
there's no
David.
rhyme or reason. That's probably those are probably, and they're going to work our way. They're going to return calls. They're going to be cooperative. They're going to understand that they're going to value our role in the process.
Mm. Love
So I'll,
that.
I'll
Love
take
that.
candidates and I'll bear hug them and I'll say, okay, if you want to work with me, this is a team approach. This is what we're going to do. This is what it means to take me off my desk to focus on you as a candidate.
I just
It's
had
going to
this
be
image, David, of
partnership.
you giving a candidate a bear hug. That was good.
I'm like, 'cause I want them. I don't want them. Well, and I tell them, like, I don't need an exclusive. I don't need, if you can talk to, I don't want you to hold you from talking to other recruiters or companies, but I want me to be your focus. And I want, if you
Mm,
hear about a job, I don't want you applying direct to stuff. I want you
mm,
sending that job description to me or a job posting and let me see if I can help you first. If I can't, I don't own you as a candidate, but if we're going to put time and energy into this, I need your cooperation. I need you to value what I'm doing for
mm.
sure.
Love
Interesting.
that. And then one last follow on question from that, David. I've heard two of your most successful BD tactics at the moment, which is speaking to candidates and getting information from them to get hot leads and MPC. Which one is more successful? If you had to choose one and someone was like, hey, David, you can only choose one for the rest of the year, choose one. Which one would you choose in order to get more business?
I think it's the subtle, just add on questions and asking questions and finding out where people are interviewing and kind of
Mm,
being that getting market intel
Cool.
that's free, and you're getting it and
yeah.
you're getting it real time, and you're finding out that this candidate just turned a job down at ABC company a week ago
Mm,
because the location wasn't right or the salary wasn't right or some reason, and now that's gold, right? Because I can go down,
yeah.
I do have the right candidate for that role, so I can target. So I think that's just such a natural byproduct of every phone call.
Mm,
So every phone call has value. It's not you don't have to necessarily take your foot off the recruiting pedal, and all of a sudden I'm over here with a different list of names doing business development. It's all integrated where every call has value because getting someone on the phone is half the challenge sometimes. Having the opportunity to pitch or to right.
mm, mm.
So
Yeah, really
Awesome.
interesting.
That is
Love
really,
that.
thank you, David. That's really valuable.
I'd love to go back to the ChatGPT bit because we haven't, I mean, of course, um, AI, we've talked about AI in the pod a few times, but I haven't actually talked about in detail about researching a company before you approach them. I'm wondering if you've got any insight, David. Do you just type in the company and say, like, in my mind, might be a bit simple, but in my mind, it'd be like, hey, I'm looking at this company. And I'd literally go into ChatGPT and be like, hey, I've spotted this company in X, Y, and Z. What can you tell me about it? What are they struggling with? What are their finances look like? And I would let ChatGPT run and just tell me as much as I can. Is that similar to what you would do, David?
absolutely, yeah. And
Yeah.
I consider myself a novice when it comes to technology, but that's something that I'm embracing full on. I feel like that's just a natural
Mm,
strength. Why not have it at our disposal at all the time? So I'm doing a lot of that where I'm
mm,
finding out, I'm even taking a candidate and going to market and saying, hey, using chat to look at what the marketplace looks like for that candidate. What company should this candidate be targeting?
mm,
And and then once I get the companies I want to target, let me tell me a lot more about those companies. What kind of hiring are they doing? Are they likely to use recruiters? Are they, can ask a
mm,
million questions. I'm working on some GPTs right now that'll help me in that
Love it.
mm.
endeavor, but it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And I think the recruiters
Yeah.
that use are able to use AI in an effective way are going to be the ones that win in the next 5, 10 years, or
Yeah.
win even
I
next year because it's coming strong and fast.
Yeah. What I found ChatGPT to be, and just AI in general, to be incredibly helpful for, and I've only kind of, I felt this like definitely in a stronger way since me and Tam have been developing our product in the last few weeks and few months. But it's basically helping you to like critically think about what you're doing and what you should be doing to solve difficult problems. And I'm not vocalizing it very well, but it's just I feel like just having a conversation with ChatGPT for me and really asking it tough questions has helped me to get to the truth a lot faster. And it's just really interesting because we're in a really fascinating time in I think in history where we have that ability to have a conversation with something that's incredibly smart, that has data available in almost every corner of the globe that we can
Yep.
use to our advantage to get to our goals faster. And I just think it's amazing. Like it's been so helpful for me in the last few weeks, especially.
Yep.
And I think, as you say, David, if more recruiters can use it, they should be able to speak to people, come up with better strategies, and figure out information faster, which is really cool.
Yeah, there's so many hacks that you can do to be if you're looking to study a niche, you want to get deeper into your
Mm.
niche and understand who all the players are and or your LinkedIn pages goes on and on, right? What you can do with it, and
Yeah, I
it's a
mean
big advantage.
that's such a good point. It's like if a recruiter is not a niche.
Expert yet and they want to become an expert a lot faster, there should be a process around ChatGPT to do that like 10 times faster. Obviously, niche experience comes with doing the work and actually being in the trenches, but I feel like the beginning stages could be used. ChatGPT could be used for that as well, which is interesting. Sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole now, guys, but I've got
Yeah.
a question just on the ChatGPT, David. I know you said you're a novice with technology, but I'm just wondering if there was one. I'm a big fan of this question, so I ask it a lot, David. If there was one piece of data that you could gather or that you are gathering from ChatGPT in order to give you a better lead or a better chance to get hold of the client, what would it be? What's the thing you're typing in that seems to be the most valuable?
I would say I look, well, it's what companies to target. I would say,
Cool.
like, if I have a good candidate and I'm marketing
Interesting.
them in a certain geography and I'll little ask chat, where should I target this company? Where is this candidate the best fit at? And
That's
then,
interesting.
I'll get deeper with the prompt. But yeah, and I'll streamline the prompt. But yeah, absolutely go in the headwind with that. And then how
That's
should I
wicked.
pitch this candidate? And I'll help me with the write up and help me how do I want to what makes this candidate excellent for these companies?
Mm,
Why are they a good fit for this job? And then have chat help you build the write up. Not
yeah,
necessarily, plug and play, but yeah, it does help a lot to
that's
it's
awesome.
time and efficiency, right? For us
Haven't
recruiters.
actually heard a recruiter word it in that way, like putting a candidate in and saying, "Hey, what companies what companies is this candidate right for?" I think that's simple. But and have you found when you're going to market from what ChatGPT has advised, have you found that those have actually worked, David? Obviously not all of them, but like have you found that they've worked in terms of like the response rate and actually getting conversations?
Yeah, it does. It's I've only been doing this for about 3 to 6 months of just really trying to use chat for that aspect. But yeah, I think it does help.
Hmm.
It arms you with way more information
Yeah.
about the
Hmm.
companies and the players and what some you know trends that they're going through and stuff like that for sure.
Hmm.
And then it can help once if you're able to get interviews or get traction as to how this candidate should market themselves. What are some things that this candidate? What are some pitfalls? What are some shortfalls that this candidate might not have that they're looking for? What? So there's so many different angles to play it. The key
Hmm.
is for this tool, which is awesome, not to distract from your next phone call, right? Because that's at the end of the
Hmm.
day, it's a numbers game, and it's easy to get down, like you said, rabbit holes earlier, where you're
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're researching something that's getting
Completely
you off the phone,
unrelated.
right?
Yeah.
Then it's a productivity
What
drag, right?
with your MPC pitching, David? Are you always picking up the phone to people and pitching the MPC on the phone, or are you doing it via email out of interest?
A lot of times I'll start with an email. I'll start with an engage, and we use Zoom info, so we'll do a blast that way first, and then try to get traction, and then it's a phone call to those companies.
Cool.
So it's a follow up, and then it may be another reach out, another second email. Sometimes it's one, two, or three reach outs before the phone, before we engage with a phone call. But we'll tell them, hey, we're going to be calling you in the next 48 hours to talk about this candidate. So then they're ready, they're curious about it.
Love that.
So
That's
for
such a
sure.
similar strategy to other top billers we've had, which is like send an email, leave a voicemail is a very common one as well, David. So send an email, leave a voicemail telling them about the email, and then following up with multiple emails and
Sure.
definitely a call as well. So
And
the voicemail one has been really useful for a lot of people. Um,
absolutely.
but that's super,
Yeah.
super useful. Ben, I've got another, I'm going to go off track, but is there any question you have on the BD
No,
side?
you go ahead, man. I think there's well,
Cool.
maybe just one, David. Is there anything, and we may have covered all the topics that, again, assuming that there's a newbie recruiter listening to us right now, is there anything that you want to add on the BD perspective that might be helpful for other people? If there's not, it's fine. I just like asking that question.
Yeah, big thing I think is get out of your comfort zone. I mean, I remember when I got in the business, someone finally told me, I had not written any jobs in the first, let's say, 6, 9 months. This goes back a lot of years, but a person that was mentoring me asked me why I didn't have job orders. I didn't have
Mm,
a good answer for him. Like, why? Well, I think it's a comfort zone thing. You get comfortable recruiting, you get comfortable on that side of the desk, and it's the one thing that's gonna what recession proof your business is to have your own accounts. So you got to get after it. You got to do it. You got to get uncomfortable, and you got to make mistakes. And I'd rather see the phone calls, the sloppiest, worst phone calls, and someone make all these mistakes, but then we forget gets quickly forgotten once they land the business or that company wants to see that candidate. So it's
such
get
a good.
after it. It's
I love
get
that.
after it. Yeah.
Absolutely love that response. And it's really interesting you say that because it's like, if there was, I'd bet you, or maybe not for everyone, but the people that are really struggling for clients at the moment, an interesting question would be like, how uncomfortable are you on a daily basis at the moment at work? And I bet you a lot of them are fairly comfortable and they're not really pushing themselves. And I mean, this is a generalized statement, but
Yeah.
because I speak to so many recruiters who are struggling for business and then I dig down to like what they're actually doing activity wise, a lot of them aren't doing a lot of activity. So, that's a direct correlation with, that's an indicator that they're not really stretching themselves and they're not trying to be uncomfortable. So I think that, well, that's really simple. I think it's really important to like just observe, like, any recruiter listen to this, how many clients do you have? How uncomfortable are you on a daily basis? Are you really pushing yourself to get clients
Yeah.
or are you just staying in your comfort zone? Because I think it's really important. Um,
Yeah. And the one thing, if you're coming into the business, you don't have clients and you're working on it, we've got the I guess the benefit because we got 55 recruiters and we've got all these different tentacles of business. We're writing jobs every day. There's deals getting boarded every week. So there's a lot of different, there's a lot of choice the recruiter has to go down different paths because we don't necessarily micromanage them. We do in the beginning to get them up to speed, but once they get their legs underneath them and they're billing, we kind of this is an entrepreneurial, adult environment. We let them give them enough freedom to go different directions. But it's if you're working a job, and it's a certain product or process, get in that business and help recruit on that job with the mindset that you want to develop business in that account. So don't work a job where you don't want to get job orders in that space. So every vertical you go down, you have that mindset of how to go after business. It's not just you're never just in a pure recruiting play.
so you're encouraging your recruiters to go after businesses where you can land and expand. And is that what you mean, David? Like actually
Exactly.
expand within the business and get multiple roles from one client?
Yeah, or if let's say I'm working on someone else's account and I'm helping fill in another person's job in our company, and it's a safety director. Well, go in with the mindset that you want to get another safety director job order with a new
Mm,
client, because if there's one company in that geography looking for a safety director, the chances are there's someone else looking for a safety director, or maybe a safety manager, or maybe a safety. I use that analogy, but it's yeah. So you're going in with the mindset to ask those add-on questions where the candidates you recruit, you're gonna ask add-ons for those candidates, and next thing you know, you're gonna hopefully know other companies in that space looking for the same person, so you can
Sorry,
market.
Sam. One more question before we divert from the BD. I just
Oh
want to
no, I'm
get
not diverting. I want to just sorry, I'll let you go, Ben. Go
sorry,
ahead.
just one more. David, in terms of like how you're presenting let's say you get someone on the phone and you've got this standout candidate, and you've got them, they've picked up and said, "Hey, this is John speaking," whatever. What are you saying in those first kind of 10 seconds to get people to actually listen to you? Or like, what is the hook, or what's the thing that you're saying, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll try to. I mean, my first thing is always to build rapport and to try to get them
Mm,
off, take them off their guard a little bit. So I'll, just maybe some small talk, or if I, talk about, whether it's the weather or whatever, I kind of steer. But it's really just getting that, and then I get right into the pitch, right into the candidate. Hey, I don't misrepresent who I am. I'm a headhunter. I've got this candidate. We just had some success. We filled another role. Try to relate it to another position we just filled in your space. So there's credibility, and then I go right into the headwind. I don't waste a lot of time. So
awesome. It's
it's
interesting because it sounds like the beginning stages aren't just like, because there are a lot of recruiters have like the typical line, which is, "Hey, this is a cold call. Will you give me 30 seconds? Yes or no?" I can't remember exactly what the line is, but it sounds like you're actually just trying to build rapport instead of like a typical like sales pitch. Am I right in saying that, David?
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
You try not to sell at the beginning. Yes, you're trying to build that, catch them off their guard a little bit for sure,
mm,
sure.
cool.
Where
Interesting.
it's not just a typical cold call. It's kind of that rapport, and then boom, right into the right into the candidate for
Because I
sure.
might be, this is me being a little bit cynical, David. So forgive me, but if I'm like a cold prospect and a random person's trying to build rapport with me, I'd just be like, I'll just put the phone down. I'll be like, who is this? So how are you getting that? Like, how are you getting the rapport building from a cold prospect?
Well, I'll try to relate it to something I'm working on. Maybe there's hopefully a generated lead that I've kind of come in there. I've been made
Mm,
aware of this, and I try to build credibility that way. There's some knowledge I have that I can share that for
got it,
sure,
got it. Because so you're going in with some context initially. Am I right in
for
saying
sure,
that? Yeah,
for sure.
interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
Um, just want to go back to that moment, David, when you said you didn't have any job orders, and I think you said your manager came up and said, "Hey, why haven't you got any job orders?" And you came to the conclusion that it was your comfort zone. I'm just curious what you did after that. Like, you obviously got job orders and you're very successful now, but in that moment when you were like, "Oh, I need to get out of my comfort zone," what did you do? Was it just picking up the phones? Was it going for runs? Was it cold showers? I love a cold
It
shower.
was really as a frame of mind reference check to say, hey, you know what? Why can't I do this? I saw big billers is up, way up here, and I was just a new guy kind of learning the business. Number one, believe you can do it. And then it was just, yeah, going out there and doing it and stumbling a bit. And what I found after filling a couple jobs, I'm like, this is a lot more, it's easier, it's fun, and it's like, what was I worried about? So it's going to the headwind and being afraid to fail, or not afraid to fail. So I think a lot of it's fear of failure, your fear that
Yeah.
just these things get in your head. So yeah, I'm first company was just going out there and then marketing a candidate. And I remember it was a diesel engine company. And I got the job order, got the fill, and it was in the Detroit area here. But anyway, long time ago. But it was just that it's getting over that fear of failure and just going after it.
Yeah, love that. And it's funny, the if you are on that constant trajectory of success and you want to grow personally, when you get to the next stage, you realize that it's all about shattering belief systems. Like, you get to the next stage, you're like, whoa, I can do this, and this is easier than I thought. And then you get to the next stage, and then I just find it fascinating how if you're on that growth trajectory, you are shattering belief systems like one at a time. And I
For
find that
sure.
process amazing that you can,
Yeah,
something that has been ingrained in you for many years, you can shatter it and get to the next level.
sure.
Sounds like you were doing something similar,
Absolutely.
David.
Absolutely. And then, that's the hard part. Once you get in the account, and that's what we pride ourselves, once we get in the business and we fill a couple roles, we have some success, we build that. And then we've had clients we work with for 20 years now who trust us. We've built a great business. So it's not all pure, business development every day. That you're always putting new clients in the funnel, but you've got just a great plethora of clients that continue to work with you.
Mm.
So
Love that. I have got one more question my end, and it's a kind of a selfish question, David. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people, but I'm just curious from someone that's scaled a business. You've got 55 odd employees now. What has been the most challenging part of scaling your business? Were there particular moments when you had the most growth or the most beliefs that you needed to shatter? Were there any? Is what comes to mind when I say that?
yeah, I look at it's interesting over the years. We're founded in 2010, and it's not been a complete upward trajectory. I feel it's almost like a step ladder where we call it draft classes each year where we've brought in new people, and we wish you didn't have to say goodbye to anyone. And if we didn't have to say goodbye to anyone, the ladder would be climbed a lot quicker. But this business isn't for everybody. So you get into it, and you have the best intentions. We don't hire anybody who we don't believe that could be in this business for the rest of their life, right? But that's probably not going to happen with everyone. So it's each year it's a step approach. I think the toughest challenge has been seeing great people, saying goodbye to great people. You bring great people in this business, and they're not cut out for this type of work. So or when the other tough thing is when you want it more than they want it, and that's a challenge. So I'd say that again. I don't know if that answers directly, but it's that's probably the toughest thing. Yeah, and there's no perfect template of a hire. I mean, it's one of those things if I had the perfect template, I could sell it and make millions. But there's so many different walks of life that can do this business and do it well. And I look at the group we have; they're all very unique and they all have a different approach. But
Awesome.
Interesting.
That's a great answer, David. I'm just one last follow-on question from that, because I'm sure every recruitment business owner has probably got the same problem and thinking the same thing. I know you haven't got a formula. Is there one or two things that when you're interviewing a new person coming into your business, is there one or two things you're looking out for that gives you a better chance of success? Maybe qualifying or disqualifying, whichever one you think is
yeah, I think the
valuable.
one big thing is perseverance, and I want to know about some struggles they've had. I want to know how they've persevered through something. I want to know they've been successful at something. It could be in something totally different, but you've fought through resilience, right? And you've bruised your knees a few times and gotten back up and gotten going again. I think that's a big one for sure. And so the evidence of fighting through that grind for sure. I think is probably the number one thing.
It's mindset, isn't it? Really, it's like if they start with the mindset, everything else is kind of easier from there, isn't it? So I'm guessing you're assessing their mindset the most, David,
sure.
if they can handle it.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get to know them more than anything else. We go through comb through the resume. We want to know what moves they made and why. We want to know all about them. So for sure, because coming into this business, it's you own your own business under the movement umbrella. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, so that's critical.
Love that. And Ben, I don't know if you have any more questions, but I'm curious, David, just as a fellow business owner to a fellow business owner, what is your next goal? Like, what's the biggest thing you're aiming for next? For me and Ben, I can say we're developing a new product at the moment that we are so excited to release next year, and it's going to absolutely transform the recruitment industry. But I'm curious, have you got a thing in your brain where you're like, this is what I'm most excited about for the next year, 2 years, 5 years?
That's great, Sam. I'm going to bore you a little bit because our mission has been so simple and straightforward, and it's really hiring great people one at a time. And we don't have some master strategy. It's we don't, we're here. We are with 6 offices now around the country. We're a brick and mortar. We've got offices in Michigan. We got Royal Oak. We're down the road about 20 miles down the road. Clarkston. We got an office in the west side of Michigan, Grand Rapids, Carolinas, Florida. They all happened organically with one great hire at a time, and someone who's willing to put an office on their back because they were a great biller and they had more in the tank to build something. So there's no grandiose strategy, but the strategy of one good person at a time who's dedicated themselves to this business. That's kind of what our strategy's been, and it's kind of worked. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's got us where we are today. But and we want to continue doing, and we want to continue to take advantage of market opportunities. I mean, our biggest growth year was 2022, and well, that was a big year for everyone. But post COVID, we were bullish. I mean, we were out hiring. We were very confident that things were going to turn eventually. It was a scary time. A lot of our competitors were cutting back and closing offices, and we were going the opposite direction. We had a big hiring boom that year.
Wow.
And then saw the results, I think, in 22, where just everything came back and our headcount was up and stuff like that. So it's really, that's the strategy. So
love that.
But I love hearing about new products. So, that's to me, that's kind of cool too. So
thanks, David.
Awesome.
Yeah, really
this is kind of just a question that I thought of as well, David. How many sectors do you recruit in at the moment?
Yeah, predominantly, I would say automotive's been a big one. I mean, it's kind of our legacy, I would say. We've sort of, once 2008, 2009, the recession hit, we were, probably a good chunk, maybe 30-40% was automotive, but we're into packaging, paper, aerospace, the food industry, defense, you name it. And that's what's kind of fun about our model is that our great people take us in these different directions, right? So We have a guy that's doing kitchen cabinets. All he does is kitchen cabinets. That's his niche.
Wow.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Pretty
That's super
successful at
niche.
it, but
I
that's a
thought you,
niche, right? So
yeah, that's
we're
brilliant.
yeah.
I thought you might say that, David. And my next question was, what are you seeing? Because I'm wondering how other people can learn from what you're seeing in terms of where there's more demand at the moment. Because again, you have quite a good viewpoint seeing all these different sectors and niches. Where is there? Have you noticed there's more demand in certain sectors? And if so, where and what? Maybe you can help us understand that.
We've seen a big uptick in like in manufacturing, engineering,
Mm,
and certainly and you get into the skilled trades and that level, there's just a ton of it's one of those things that's there's such a shortfall of talent, and it's a dying industry in some respects. A lot of the legacy talent are retiring or they're moving
mm,
on. So there's a just tremendous demand, and then with the U.S. manufacturing kind of in a takeoff mode with we're seeing a lot of rebound there for sure. So it's
interesting.
and I don't think it's
That's
going to slow down anytime soon.
cool. Really, really interesting. David, thank you so much for joining us on the pod today, my friend. This has been a great podcast. Really interesting to get to know you. I'm sure there's stuff we've missed out, so we would love to invite you into a round two if you're interested in the future.
Of course.
But thank you so much for joining us today, my friend, and just really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Tune in for another episode next week, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Peace and love.